Live from the Scripps Studios, this is 10 News.
Most of San Diego County is now on a red flag warning, which is expected to continue through Thursday. More than 40,000 people are at risk of losing power because of these strong winds. Good evening. I'm Steve Atkinson.
And I'm Lindsay Pena in for Kimberly Hunt. We have team coverage of the dangerous conditions tonight. We start with 10 News reporter Laura Acevedo live in Alpine, where some people are stocking up and preparing for the worst. Laura.
They are, Lindsay, and right now it's not very windy, but of course we are going to see those winds pick up in the next couple of days. However, it is pretty cold here right now. We found people buying things like ice in case the power goes out for several days. For the second time in less than a week.
The refrigerator only keeps things cool for probably 2 days, and then after that it's just kind of testy.
People in Alpine are stocking up ahead of another round of Santa Anas.
I got a lot of stuff that doesn't take a lot of cooking and storage, because if I don't have any power, then I have to put it in the ice.
Just over 40,000 people throughout the county are at risk of losing power from SDG&E. Instead of stocking up, people like Steve Spurlock have other options.
It's a quiet one. I do have 2 generators, so I kind of will alternate and run them, so I'm a little bit prepared.
SDG&E officials explaining that not everyone at risk to lose power will, explaining that the areas are being monitored should the winds become too much.
Areas east of the 15 in most cases, though we are looking at some portions of Rancho Santa Fe. Also then as you head eastward and we get east of the communities of El Cajon, east of Valley Center, some portions around the community of Poway.
And while the loss of power is frustrating, Spurlock says he understands.
At that point, you're just more worried that if a fire does start, you might lose your house. So food can be replaced, I guess.
And just like last week, a number of schools will be closed tomorrow in anticipation of potential planned power outages. In just the last 30 minutes, several other schools were added to the list, including Rancho Santa Fe School District, schools in the Escondido Unified School District, and San Marcos Unified. You can find the list of full schools and any additional schools on our website, 10news.com. Reporting live in Alpine, Laura Acevedo, 10 News.
Thank you, Laura. And our meteorologist, Angelica Campos, is tracking the fire conditions and the watches and warnings in place.
That's right. Tonight, what we've seen so far is a turn of the wind. We still had a nice westerly flow through the evening, but now most areas, including Julian, now getting that wind out of the east. Warner Springs as well. Borrego, the winds are still kind of turning. And you see that also in areas like Alpine. Then we travel over towards El Cajon, and there's still a bit of a westerly component here. So as we go into tonight, the winds will become stronger. They have already done the first part, which is to turn out of the northeast, and then they'll get faster. A high wind warning in effect, which means there could be some damage associated to the strength of the wind. And because of the dry conditions and the wind combined, we have a red flag warning, which means that if there is a fire, it could spread very, very quickly. I'll pinpoint how the winds are going to shape up through the morning as we go into the hourly forecast.
Angelica, thank you. Strong winds are returning up north as well tonight, which could make the fight against these 2 wildfires more difficult. Firefighters are still working to get a handle on that Getty fire burning in northwest Los Angeles and the Kincade fire, which has devastated Sonoma County.
Containment on both is minimal, and crews expect the Kincade fire to keep burning at least through next week. ABC's Elena Gomez is in Brentwood, California.
California's governor looking at the ruins of destroyed homes, surveying the damage left by the Getty fire. Only 15% contained as California braces for a powerful new round of Santa Ana winds that have a dangerous history of turning sparks into infernos.
These are probably going to be the worst winds that Los Angeles has seen in the last 2 to 3 years.
Those winds, some hurricane force, will fuel already brutal conditions in the hills just above Los Angeles. Over 1,100 firefighters trying to contain the blaze on the ground and from the air. The expected dangerous wind conditions spelling no relief for thousands of residents still evacuated.
So people will not be returning to their homes because those extreme wind events we're going to see, those can pick up and transfer the fire miles away sometimes.
Meanwhile, in Northern California, those winds are already picking up, fanning the Kincade fire. Visibility near zero as these crews put out hotspots in Sonoma County.
Over 4,000 personnel are working on that fire as we speak.
The new fire danger forcing another round of power cuts. Some 1.5 million people expected to lose electricity this time. The manager of this supermarket firing up the generators again.
It's just been wild. It's just been crazy.
Officials now saying the cause of the Getty fire here in Southern California was a tree branch falling on a power line, causing it to spark. In Brentwood, California, Elena Gomez, ABC News.
And you can stay on top of our weather and any fires that might pop up on the 10 News mobile app. A free version is available in the App Store. San Diego Congressman Duncan Hunter is recommending Governor Gavin Newsom ask the military for help fighting our fires. In a letter to the governor, Hunter says, quote, "It is my understanding from my contact with the White House that there are federal resources available for firefighting that have not yet been requested by your office. These federal resources include 4 modular airborne firefighting systems, capable wings, each with 2 C-130s, which are located in California or within a few hours flight time." So far, there has been no public response from the governor.
Meantime, Duncan Hunter's wife won't learn her punishment for a while. Today, a judge agreed not to sentence Margaret Hunter until after her husband's corruption trial in January. Margaret pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiracy. Prosecutors say she and her husband misspent $250,000 in campaign funds on everything from vacations to tequila shots. In her plea deal, Margaret agreed to testify against her husband, who pleaded not guilty.
The Navy is upholding the sentence of San Diego-based Navy SEAL convicted of posing with a dead Islamic State captive in Iraq. Eddie Gallagher's clemency request was denied today. In July, he was acquitted of murder and the killing of a wounded captive, but he was also found guilty of posing with the body and had his rank reduced. And that will cost Gallagher up to $200,000 when he retires.
Students and staff at 3 San Diego high schools may have been exposed to mumps. Those are High Tech High in Liberty Station, San Pasqual High in Escondido, and La Jolla High. County health officials say each of the schools had 1 case of the highly contagious virus reported. The county says there have been 47 cases of the mumps so far this year. That's a 25-year high. The people with mumps all have their vaccines.
I think the people that are most at risk are those people that are not vaccinated, because we know that the mumps virus is circulating in our community. We've had adults that have been infected as well as children.
It's unclear if those with mumps are students or staff. Potential exposure happened during school hours during a number of days over the past week. You can see those listed on your screen.
At the end of the day, my child was not under adult supervision.
Frustration and confusion after the parents of a 4-year-old autistic child say that he wandered out of his school last week and was found playing near the street. Our 10 News reporter Matt Boone spoke to the parents who say they have now pulled their son out of that school.
Yeah, the parents say all the students were inside the auditorium at lunchtime, but their son was able to get through the doors. He came outside and he was later found playing here in the sprinklers without any supervision.
The parents of 4-year-old Weston McKinney Davis will be the first to admit he's got a lot of energy.
As his teacher says, she cannot handle him after lunchtime. And so I check him out at 1 o'clock.
They say he has mild autism, which had been communicated with his school, Angiers Elementary.
Of all the children you need to keep eyes on, he's one of them.
But last week, his mother, Carlina McKinney Davis, says she came to pick him up and the teacher told her something strange, that they had to change his clothes after he played in a puddle.
I was like, what puddle?
She says the teacher explained Weston had run out of the door at the cafeteria at lunch to the grass in front of the school, where the sprinklers had recently been on.
The biggest puddle is usually right here.
It's unclear how long he was out there, but she estimates it must have been several minutes before anyone found him.
I understand up until this line, that's considered school grounds, but at the end of the day, my child was not under adult supervision. He is a 4-year-old child that was out here for at least 5 minutes before somebody noticed he was gone.
A spokesperson for the district didn't provide any details about the incident, but told 10 News the student never left campus.
We're playing supermarket.
And called the situation a misunderstanding.
With sand!
His parents worry it could have been much worse.
He could have tried to walk home. He could have got snatched. He could have got hit. It could have been so many different variables that could have happened in 5 minutes.
And the family says they have hired a lawyer and are considering legal action against the school. Reporting in Serra Mesa, Matt Boone, 10 News.
A new community dialogue began this evening, a conversation about human sex trafficking and how it impacts San Diego's communities of color.
It's just a needed conversation because a lot of communities are getting awareness, but it's not coming into the inner cities where a lot of people and lives are impacted.
Armand King is the COO of Paving Great Futures. He says that human sex trafficking, it's been a problem in San Diego his entire life. King says there needs to be more awareness to help stop the root of the problem.
I believe like 64% of the people incarcerated for human sex trafficking are African American, and yet these conversations are not being brought to their communities to help save people before they go down these paths.
Today's meeting was the first of a 4-part series.